You're sitting there staring at your phone, convinced that the silence means it's over. You see her late replies, the short answers, and the growing distance as a clear signal that she's lost interest. Naturally, your instinct is to protect your ego and walk away before you get rejected. But here's the reality. You're reading the map upside down. For many women, distance isn't a sign of disinterest. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism. When a woman starts to feel an intense, overwhelming attraction, it can feel like she's losing her footing. To regain a sense of control and protect her heart, her first move isn't to lean in, it's to pull back. The truth that most men miss is that the more she feels herself becoming obsessed with you, the more dangerous you become to her emotional stability. She acts cold because she's trying to level the playing field and see if she can handle the depth of her own feelings. Sadly, most men give up at the exact moment her brain is working overtime to figure them out. They mistake her silence for a no when it's actually a help, I'm falling too fast. Today, I'm breaking down the psychological phenomenon known as defensive avoidance. We're going to look at the 7 unmistakable signs that prove she's thinking about you constantly, even when her surface level behavior suggests she couldn't care less. Once you see these patterns, you'll realize that the cold shoulder is often just a mask for a very loud internal obsession. To understand what's really going on, you have to realize that men and women usually play by a different set of psychological rules when it comes to attraction. For most men, interest is straightforward. If you like someone, you pursue them, you close the distance, and you make your intentions obvious. But for a woman, a deep, intense attraction can actually feel quite intimidating. Instead of a green light to move forward, her brain might hit the emergency brake. This happens because falling for someone creates a sudden fear of rejection or a perceived loss of power in the dynamic. To her, showing too much interest feels like handing you the keys to her emotional well-being before she knows if you're safe to trust. To protect herself from looking desperate or getting hurt, her subconscious tells her the safest move is to create space. This is exactly why she might take 5 hours to reply to a text she read in 5 seconds, or why she acts almost too casual when you run into her in person. She isn't being cold because she lacks feeling. She's being cold because she has too much feeling and doesn't know where to put it yet. She is essentially testing the waters from a distance, watching your every move to see how you handle her pulling away. She wants to see if you'll get needy and crumble, or if you'll stay grounded and unbothered. This behavior is the direct result of massive overthinking. While you're worried she's forgotten you, she's likely replaying your last interaction 1,000 times. It's a classic case of private obsession wearing a mask of public indifference. The more she's thinking about you behind the scenes, the harder she'll work to look like she isn't thinking about you at all. The first sign of a hidden obsession is what I call the surveillance loop. This is when she's constantly gathering data on you, but only when she thinks your back is turned. In person, you'll catch her in the instant look away, that split second where your eyes meet across a room and she immediately snaps her gaze to the floor or her phone. It's not that she's bored, it's that she was caught in the act of studying you. In the digital world, this shows up as the story sprint. If you post a photo and her name pops up in the views within minutes, every single time, she isn't just scrolling. She has likely turned on notifications for your posts or is checking your profile manually throughout the day. Attention is the ultimate currency of attraction, and if she's consistently spending hers on your life when she thinks you aren't looking, she is deeply invested in your world. The second sign is even more telling: the vault of small details. Human memory is naturally leaky. Most people forget nearly everything you tell them within 24 hours because their brains don't see the information as a priority. But when a woman is obsessed, her brain creates a high-priority file just for you. If she brings up a tiny, throwaway comment you made 3 weeks ago, like the name of a specific teacher you disliked or a random deadline you mentioned in passing, it's a massive tell. This happens because she isn't just listening. She's replaying your conversations in her head long after they've ended. She's building a mental map of who you are, storing every useless fact like it's gold. When she remembers the small things that everyone else forgets, it's because you've become her primary mental focal point. The third sign is what I call the social echo, and it's one of the most reliable ways to know you're on her mind. You see, women rarely process attraction in a vacuum. They process it through dialogue. If her friends start acting strange the moment you walk into a room, maybe they exchange knowing smirks, whisper to each other, or go suddenly quiet, it's because you've been the lead story in their group chat for weeks. When people you've barely spoken to already seem to have an opinion on you, or if a friend accidentally drops an accidental hint that they know something about your life you haven't told them yet, it's a dead giveaway. It means she hasn't just mentioned your name. She's been analyzing your every move with her inner circle, looking for their validation and help in deciphering the puzzle that is you. The fourth sign, the bungee interaction, is by far the most confusing for men, but it's actually a massive indicator of obsession. This is when she suddenly texts you out of nowhere with something low stakes, like a random meme, a "this reminded me of you" message, or a quick question she could have easily Googled. You respond, the energy is high, and the conversation flows perfectly. Then, just as you think things are moving forward, she bungees back and ghosts you for 3 days. It feels like a mind game, but it's actually an intense internal conflict. She reached out because her urge to talk to you became physically impossible to resist. However, the moment she got your attention, her protection mode kicked in. She suddenly panicked, worrying she looked too eager or gave you too much power, so she retreated to a safe distance to reset her cool. She's trying to stay on your radar without losing her leverage, showing that she's constantly calculating her presence in your life. The fifth sign is behavioral shifting, which is all about the physical vibe she gives off when you enter the room. To spot this, you have to stop looking at her in a vacuum and start comparing how she treats you versus everyone else. If she is loud, bubbly, and relaxed with her friends, but suddenly becomes quiet, guarded, or even a little stiff when you walk over, don't assume she dislikes you. In fact, total neutrality is the real sign of disinterest. If she didn't care, she wouldn't change at all. When her voice pitch shifts, she starts fidgeting with her jewelry, or she suddenly can't maintain eye contact, it's because your presence is literally affecting her nervous system. She's experiencing a stress response because she's hyper aware of your opinion of her. You have power over her emotions, and that creates a physical tension she can't quite hide, no matter how hard she tries to act cool. The sixth sign is the unconscious test, and this is where most men accidentally sabotage themselves. You might notice her doing things that feel toxic or annoying, like casually mentioning another guy's name or suddenly canceling plans at the last minute for a vague reason. In her mind, she isn't trying to be a drama queen. She's subconsciously gauging your emotional security. She is throwing a curveball to see if you'll swing wildly and get angry, needy, or insecure, or if you'll stay grounded and unbothered. When a woman is seriously considering someone as a long-term partner, she needs to know if he is the real deal who can handle pressure. She's testing to see if your confidence is real or just a front. If you can stay composed while she's testing the waters, you prove that you're a high-value man who won't be easily shaken by her moods. The final and most powerful indicator of her obsession is what I call the power of uncertainty. This is the ultimate reality check for any man feeling confused. If a woman truly wanted you out of her life, she would simply make herself invisible. She wouldn't be watching your stories, she wouldn't be accidentally showing up where you are, and she definitely wouldn't be taking the time to test you. The fact that she is still in your orbit, even if she's acting cold or distant, is the loudest sign of all. She is staying within your reach because she's waiting for a specific version of you to show up. She's hovering in that gray area, holding her breath to see if you are the type of man who panics when things get quiet, or the type of man who can handle the tension without breaking. This is where the win happens. The man who can sit in that uncertainty without chasing, complaining, or demanding an explanation is the man who eventually wins the prize. Most guys fail here because they try to force a confession or talk about feelings the moment they feel she's pulling away, which only confirms her fear that you're needy. Instead, you need to stop trying to force the outcome and start trusting the psychological patterns we've discussed. When you show her that her coldness doesn't rattle you, her defense mechanisms will eventually drop because she'll realize you're the rock she's been looking for. If you're ready to stop guessing and start turning her curiosity into a real commitment, hit that subscribe button right now. In the next video, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step move to make the next time she tries to pull back.